Hi everyone, I'm Marlowe. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, I am excited to talk about one of my favorite glamorous movie stars of all time, Marlene Dietrich. And on this video, I am going to talk about, in particular, a perfume that she wore exclusively in the 60s and 70s. Now, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, Marlene Dietrich was probably one of, if not the most glamorous movie star of the silver screen. But she was even more glamorous when she wasn't filming and she was performing a cabaret show that went on for 20 years, and she looked her absolute glamorous, most beautiful during her 60s, 70s, and she exuded not only beauty, but just sex, even in her 70s. I mean, this woman was a real-life femme fatale, and she also had an obsession with perfume and loved perfume. And there's been so many perfumes associated with her. A violet fragrance that was released supposedly just for her in the 1930s. In the 30s and 40s, supposedly she wore Fracas and Bandit by Robert Bouquet, and also many Guerlain fragrances. But I know for sure, according to two sources, one from someone who knew her in the 60s and from someone who actually met her in the early 70s. And they both revealed the same fragrance that she was wearing. And I always was obsessed in finding out the fragrance that she loved when she was on that stage. And sure enough, I have it right here. And it's going to be surprising because it surprised me as well. But now I'm not so surprised. And it is the iconic, legendary Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. Now, this legendary perfume was released in 1953 as a bath oil, and it put Estee Lauder on the map as being one of the most successful beauty empires in the world. And this really did not become popular till the late, I think, early 60s, when it was introduced in 1961 as a skin perfume, not a bath oil, but parfum and eau de parfum. This is such an iconic, exotic, haunting, sexy perfume that is probably one of the best chypre orientals ever created, and I can see why many other legendary actresses like Gloria Swanson, Joan Crawford, and socialite heiress Wallis Simpson adored this fragrance in the 60s as well. So it was very much adored when it was released as a parfum, and I will tell you why. This little bottle, which is a half an ounce, has so many rich ingredients that I was shocked to find out and read. In 1961, the parfum essence, 1 ounce, this is a half, contained 9,600 jasmine flowers from France, 480 roses from France, 80 roses of different variety from Morocco, 1,750 orange blossoms, 60 tuberoses, the amount of Orris Absolute grown on 15 square feet of an iris plantation in France, the peel of half of a bergamot from Calabria, the hand-scraped peels of 15 oranges, sandalwood and cardamom oils from India, estrogen oil from Spanish taro gin leaves, 3 animal fixatives, and 35 laboratory-made aromatic chemicals. Now, that is a lot to go into this little teeny bottle. Now, it's a very thick, difficult fragrance, at least for me to wear, except for the winter time. I absolutely adore it. 5 drops of this, and I mean, that's all you need. And it's not one of those fragrances that I really just go to town with, because the magic in this is less is more. I had many bottles of the eau de parfum, but I prefer the extrait because you really get to experience the haunting, exotic, sexy magic that this perfume releases when you only use like 5 drops, and I mean, that's it. I've been complimented wearing this fragrance many times. It is a very luxurious experience, but it does smell very vintage and outdated to what's out there today. But please don't judge this fragrance by the first smell of it. It's a perfume that just unfolds as you wear it and becomes better and better and better. And I can totally see Marlene wearing this perfume. Now, when I lived in Beverly Hills, I was fortunate enough to meet a lady who actually knew Marlene Dietrich and worked for her in the mid-60s, and she said Marlene Dietrich gifted her a huge bottle of Lady perfume by Givenchy. And I asked her, do you know what perfume she wore and loved? And she said at the time she was wearing Youth Dew. Now, I really didn't think this was a fragrance she would wear, but recently I decided to go a little bit on a research hunt again and figure out what fragrance she wore. And if you go on Google and type in Marlene Dietrich perfumes, someone wrote a fabulous article about Dietrich and the fragrances she's known to wear. But he or she actually met her June 1972 in the Queen's, or at the Queen's Theater. When she was leaving the theater, he kissed her hand, and her hand was drenched in Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. So a person who knew her in the mid-60s and someone who met her in 1972, they both said she was wearing this magical, haunting perfume. So I definitely know, and now we definitely know, she loved and adored Youth Dew by Estee Lauder, which is still very, very successful and a big seller till this day. And I'm so glad to share this information with all Marlene Dietrich fans out there. I dedicate this video to you guys and of course to Marlene Dietrich herself. Fortunately, you can find Youth Dew on eBay for great prices, but I definitely would search for vintage bottles because they have, of course, the real ingredients that this perfume was meant to have, as opposed to the modern formulation, which is less animalic. There's actually no animal notes in there, and it smells very sweet and Coca-Cola like, but it's definitely not the magical juice you get from the vintage. So there you have it. With that, I'd like to close. I will see you guys in my next video to come very, very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.